Folks, we've got some pretty stunning breaking news here. White House officials say a Gaza ceasefire deal is near. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan today saying that a potential Israel-Hamas ceasefire and hostage release agreement might finally be forming. After meeting with Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem today, the White House advisor says they're hoping to cut a deal and begin bringing the remaining hostages who were kidnapped by Hamas terrorists on October 7th of 2023 home this month. And Hamas has handed over a list of hostages it says it will possibly return. Meanwhile, Israel's military says it may take the opportunity to strike Iran's nuclear facilities after it destroyed 85% of Syria's air defenses over the last 48 hours. The IDF says Iran is now totally isolated after the fall of the Assad regime in Syria and is scrambling to possibly develop nuclear weapons. Israel now has total air superiority above Syria and will operate in the area to ensure weapons from the former authoritarian government do not reach Iran or its proxies. While Israeli jets and drones patrol Syrian airspace, two American companies have teamed up to bolster America's nation's defenses with hybrid planes. Archer Aviation announcing today it has partnered with military tech company Anduril to develop a gas and electric-powered vertical takeoff and landing aircraft for military use. It's the first launch from its new Archer defense program, which just raised $430 million in additional equity capital to fund this venture. To the Archer Aviation founder and CEO Adam Goldstein, live from their headquarters in San Jose, California. Adam, you know, the last time you were here, we were talking about your commercial deals with airlines, and you had one with the U.S. Air Force. But tell us about this new hybrid military aircraft and the partnership with Anduril. What's it going to do and what's it going to bring?
Yeah, so the Midnight program, which is our commercial program, is really in the advanced stages. It's very mature. It's something we've worked on for a long period of time, and it's something I think the industry is ready to come see fly, and we've announced dates to come actually bring that to the public. So as that program has matured, there are new capabilities that we can bring the same technology to in the defense space. And so we announced a partnership with Anduril to go develop those next programs. And so there's a lot of new capabilities that can be developed and really try to bring back innovation into the vertical lift part of the defense industry, which hasn't seen much of late.
Yeah, and you've got the deal to develop the Midnight also for the Air Force. That was already out there. I think it was about, as you said, $142 million deal. But tell me about the advantage that the aircraft for the military is going to bring to our military capabilities and our fighters.
Yeah, I think President Trump and Elon Musk have done a good job of really talking about this new next generation of companies that can build what some are calling autonomous and affordable. And so how do we build a next generation program that can really serve the modern day needs? And it needs to start with cost. And so these need to be aircraft that have the same type of capabilities or even potentially better capabilities, but come at a much lower cost price point. I think that's a huge deal. The second thing is, from having these electric hybrid powertrains, you can build these vehicles that are much quieter. So they have a much lower acoustic signature and thermal signature, which also gives an added advantage. And so the aircraft also, just by nature of looking at them, they have lots of different sets of propellers. So there's a lot of redundancy that's also built into them. So you get this enhanced capability at a lower cost with better performance.
Well, it's really kind of incredible. I mean, when I look at Archer and your first minute as a company, go back to that moment and see how difficult the idea of creating these takeoff and landing EVs were really, and how many people were naysayers. And here you are now striking a deal with the U.S. military and Anduril. What's that like?
Yeah, when I first started talking about the concept of Archer, it was certainly seen as far out and crazy. But as the product has matured, I think all of a sudden it has become much more accepted as something that is going to happen. And so it's been amazing to see, the really wide support of, fans out there for the industry. There's a huge support group out there that really wants this tech to come. I mean, who wants to save traffic? I don't think anybody is excited about that. Everybody values their time. And then being able to leverage that and really expand into other industries like defense, I think is really critical in enabling a big, strong, business that can last the test of time. And so that's what's been so exciting. I've even seen some of the biggest naysayers out there finally start to come around and become positive on it. And so that's been exciting too.
Yeah, when are we going to start seeing these being operated by the airlines?
So our goal is to be commercial as soon as next year. So we've announced our first launch market, which is in Abu Dhabi, so in the UAE. I do think with this new administration coming in with a big focus on, let's say, loosening up the regulatory environment, while it is our focus to make sure we have a very safe aircraft, I do think there is going to be a willingness to really try to advance America's agenda to make sure America can lead in technology. And this is a good example of what
let me bring that up here. You mentioned Elon Musk and Donald Trump, the incoming administration, which you feel is really much more, I guess, open-minded to this kind of thing. Have you had conversations with either of them?
Yeah, so if you look at the kind of crowd that's around this, this industry, and you look at the different people that we're partnering with. So, for example, Palmer Luckey at Anduril, he is someone that's been a big supporter of the new administration. And so I think you're seeing a grouping of people that are coming together to try to change the world and push the world into this new different place. And we're excited and thankful to be part of that crowd. I have always been a huge fan of what Elon has done. As an entrepreneur myself, I know how hard it is to build things. And of course, he's done it at incredible scale. And so his support and President Trump's support for the industry, I think, is exactly what's needed. And also, it's what's needed to help convince the general public that these are going to be amazing new technologies that people should embrace.
You just said that when you started your company, people thought you were kind of coming up with an idea that was freaky and crazy. Here's something that's freaky and crazy, and I know you guys don't know much about this, but these drones that have been spotted over New Jersey, I'm just going to ask you this, because you are an aircraft expert. What do they look like to you?
Yeah, it's funny. I've had a lot of questions on that today. What I think you're seeing is they're all different types of new aircraft that are being built. And sometimes they look different than the stuff we're used to seeing. And so when people see our aircraft for the first time, they say, wow, why are there so many propellers on that? And, there's a good reason for that because of the electric powertrain. And so as you start to see these new types of aircrafts coming out to market, it can certainly be a surprise. Sometimes they will be totally harmless and, experimental. Sometimes they may be more nefarious. Who knows? I don't have any additional information on the stuff that was going on in New Jersey, but new types of aircraft are being created all over the place. So I would expect to see more things like this.
Well, I'm a New Jersey resident. From what you see, and we're running some of the video now, should I be worried? I mean, some of these are moving in formation and police are concerned, but the administration and the Pentagon say, don't worry. What do you think?
If you've ever seen a drone show before, where there's hundreds or sometimes thousands of drones in the air that are doing formations and really complex maneuvers, the things that you can do in the air are quite complex. It may be something that's just very innocent here that we don't quite understand yet. And so I would say wait and see what comes out on that. But again, given the technology advancements that's happening, I would expect to see a lot more things flying around overhead soon.
Well, if it comes over my house, I'm taking that thing down with my slingshot.
Good idea.
Adam, good luck and congratulations on the new partnership. We appreciate you coming on.